It's that time again. Welcome everyone to the first official ladder league predictions video, and this one's very special. It is the LCQ pre-show, and I kind of want to shout out Anonymous for his video. Kind of inspired me due to kind of sort of a slideshow presentation here. But I felt like I kind of have to do this because the LCQ is just so special. You never see something like this. We've never seen something like this, and I guess here, judging from the screen. I believe it's the largest race in TCS history, 13 people. I know technically it won't be 13, but and I don't know, maybe someone can fact check me. They've been in a bigger race than 13 before, but it's got to be the largest race in TCS history. We're going to present it that way just to make it look a lot better. But welcome everyone, and I have an exciting video planned here. I kind of pre-made a whole slideshow showing everyone off, but just wanted to kind of lay down the timeline. That's a good way of putting it. The timeline of the episode here. It's gonna start with I'm gonna show you the format real quick. I'm gonna go through all the runners, their activity, kind of what I think that how they match up, and then I'm gonna have a little prediction segment at the end, and then I'll do a quick little leaderboard. I don't have a something planned out for it, but a little leaderboard update for you because I think things have changed in the past week or so. I wouldn't say drastically, but they've changed. I should probably pull up the leaderboard on the side. Actually, I'll do that when I get there. And then I basically it'll be what today's the 7th. It's gonna be 3 days, maybe four, before the first week one predictions drops. But yeah, I wanted to give you guys some more content, especially because the LCQ is coming up in 2 days. I'm filming this on May 7th, 2026. Just want to shout that out because someone is going to PB by a lot that is in the LCQ and is going to completely screw up these predictions. I know Zoda is live right now. He's doing runs, so I guarantee you he's going to PB and mess this up. Mello's probably going to do runs. Chess is probably going to do runs. Who knows? Probably a lot of others. I know Paxo's been practicing. But anyways, without further ado, let's get started with the format. Just wanted a boring, quick, boring slide to remind if anyone doesn't know the format of the LCQ. If let's just pretend everyone's racing on each day, and I'll get into who's not, but let's just pretend everyone's racing. All 13 runners will be competing in a no reset race to determine who will be in rung 6. So it's going to be the top 3 finishers, day 1 of the LCQ of a no reset race, will get rung 6 of the ladder. And obviously the advantage to that is there's 7 rungs, so right, if you get rung 6, that means you're going to be safe from elimination as of week 1. And then obviously you can leapfrog all the way up to 4 potentially. But you're guaranteed safe from elimination week 1 of the ladder, so very advantageous to get through day 1 of the LCQ. And then the remaining 10 runners, those who did not qualify, on day 2 of the LCQ will do another no reset race, and then the top 3 from that will take the last 3 spots in rung 7. So that's kind of the format, and then, not too excited, nothing crazy, I guess, there's no leapfrogging other people inside the LCQ. That gets a little bit crazy, but yeah, top 3 each day. All right, and now to move on to our players because I kind of have them categorized here, and as you can see, all this data is from this time. So when I have all these sobs up and all these PVs up, things are going to change before the LCQ. I'm sure of it. But let's start with the long shots because these are people I'm grouping in where if any of these 3 runners made it to the ladder, that would be crazy. That would be huge upset. They would either have a huge PB or everyone just crashed out in the race. Something to note on this slide: Doubt Games not going to be playing day 1, and he's going to be pre-recording for day 2. So obviously, I guess I should probably preview everything on the page. But as you can see, 0% chance of making it through day 1 just because he's not playing. So right, we're gonna have PB, Sob, and then the percentages are my personal opinion, just like how I think they fare at qualifying, just the percent on each day. Obviously, day 2 assumes that you don't qualify day 1, so there'll be people later on with like super high day 2% qualification chances. You're like, well, they're probably not even going to beat in day 2, but that's just assuming that they make it to day 2. But starting out, let's start on the far left with Doubt Games. Obviously, I think that the PB is already wrong. Man, I'm really bad at this. Okay, I promise you all the other PBs are right. Doubt just didn't submit his most recent PB. I promise you all the other PBs will be right. He's got a 239, 58, I think. And I'm already sorry. I literally just am realizing this as I'm making the video. But, okay, that's besides the point. His sum of best is correct, I believe. Some of these guys, it's hard to get their sum bests. But so the sum bests might be a little bit off. But it's about as updated as it'll get. But yeah, 240, 239 PB, and he's not going to be playing day one, and he's going to be pre-recording day two. He's been running somewhat actively the past week or so, but he hasn't really gotten many runs through. He got that small PB like a week ago. That was like just under a minute. But once again, his situation is he's already not playing day one, so you don't get like kind of like a warm up, and he's just playing day two. He is pre-recording, so I guess there's this whole debate on whether pre-recording is advantageous or not, which maybe it is, maybe it isn't. I would say that's a whole side conversation, but I would say let's just say there's a slight advantage, like a 1% advantage that you get from pre-recording, and as you can see, even if he were to PB by like 5 minutes, which would be a 234, I don't even know if that would be enough to qualify day two. And I think more Doubt Game's chance is there's an absolute disaster for a few runners on day two, and then he PBs by a couple minutes, is kind of his way in. I'm giving him 2%. I think that's a little generous given what the competition day two is going to be looking like. But you never know. I don't want to count anyone out completely. But yeah, I'm not too optimistic about Doubt Games making it, but should be a fun inclusion in the LCQ. Chroma Q, I feel like kind of on this page of the long shots, he's got the best shot of the long shots. His PB obviously the best here, and his sum of best is the best. And he's been running, relatively actively the past couple of days. He recently got that 4-minute PB to get the 238. Once again, his sob is in a range where obviously he can lower a lot, but even with an extremely good run, multiple minute PB, he's still looking at probably not making it. It's putting me in the same sort of situation as Doubt Games. The reasoning for giving him 1% higher is simply because he's going to be racing the day before, and I feel like when you race the day before, there's so like day one, I feel like a lot of people are going to have some either nerves or they're going to be rusty or whatever the case is. Even if you're like totally on par in how you're playing, if you've been playing a lot, you're going to be a little shaky day one. I feel like no one's going to have, an insane run. Actually, that's not true. But, most people will have a worse run day one than day two, is my point. So I think day one will be a little bit shaky. I'm sure he won't even get anything reasonably close to qualifying. But day two, he's going to get a better time. I think he could, like, any run he can PB, right? He's a 238 with a 231 sob. Any run can PB for him, so maybe he, after running one day, maybe has a rough day one, has a better day two, but once again, even if he PBs, it doesn't look like it's going to be enough to qualify. Even if with like a 3-minute PB, I don't think it's going to be enough. But we'll see. I'm giving him 3% chance. I'm giving him the slight edge over Doubt Games because he is running day one, and Doubt Games isn't. And then Staunch is kind of the last seed of the tournament, last second register. He's got a 237 sob, which is not, it's just almost worse than the other long shots PBs. So I think Staunch is here for fun. As much as I would like to sugarcoat, maybe there's a chance. I feel like I'm being generous by saying less than 1%. Staunch, I really hope, I know you've been practicing a little bit, and I really hope that you do well, and honestly, I hope you PB, but qualification seems pretty much impossible. Unless Staunch secretly has a 220 and he's about to just unleash in the LCQ. But yeah, I'm giving Staunch almost 0% chance here. But yeah, of the long shots, Doubt and Chroma, more so Chroma, I think maybe has a shot at qualifying, but all three of them, just, we'll be happy to see them in the race. All right, moving on to our next three of the kind of category of on the outside looking in. So, right, these are the guys that are right on the outside of the ladder, around the outside of the ladder, and they're going to have to make some strides to make it in the ladder. And you're looking at Nolan, Appleman, and Paxo. Obviously, you can see, we'll get to Paxo because there's a lot of question marks on Paxo, but we'll start with Nolan. And he, in the past couple of weeks, he's lowered his PB from like a, mid 240 or low 240 to like a mid 235. So clearly he's been on the improvement train, has been pretty steadily improving. He has a 229 sob. So, he's, there's definitely some positive outlook for Nolan going into the LCQ. As for qualification right here, I put him at a 1% for day one, simply because even if Nolan, I think day one, I'll get to this later during the predictions. I think day one, the time to qualify is going to be well under sub 230, which would be almost better than, which is basically better than Nolan Saab. So I don't think Nolan, without some catastrophes from other racers and almost a PB level run on day one, that Nolan will be able to qualify day one. Day two, obviously a lot better outlook for Nolan. I still think it's going to be a complete uphill battle for him. And I guess, you know, you can already see he's the lowest percentage on this page. And I guess comparing him straight up to Appleman, it's just that sum of best is kind of swaying me one way over the other. Appleman kind of with a crazy low sum of best, considering his PB. And I think there's a little bit more PB potential for Appleman because I feel like everyone on this page is going to have to go well above and beyond their PB to still qualify. Kind of just like the last page. So you're looking at Nolan. I'm giving him about an 8% chance on day two. And don't worry, all these percentages on the final predictions page, I'm going to have all the percentages laid out for you that I put here. So don't need to like try to remember all this stuff. I'll have it all laid out. But yeah, moving on to Appleman, just I guess to quickly wrap up on Nolan. You know, he's been grinding, and I think he'll probably do well day two. That's why I'm giving him 8%. You know, maybe he gets like a couple minute PB on day two, where his PB is a little bit lower and has a PB level run and, you know, maybe sneaks in day two. That might be enough if he gets like a 233, 232 on day two. That might just sneak in. And I think Appleman is in a very similar boat where we haven't seen as much from him lately. I did look on the run.gg and he's been doing runs. They haven't been particularly great runs, but he's been doing a little bit of running. He's lowered his sob quite a bit. So I feel like there's some really high potential for Appleman, but then again, he hasn't shown his, like, I know this is, like, so weird to reference tournament performances in the past, but he hasn't really shown great performances in Ladder League in the past, especially in these preliminary events. So I'm not super high on him getting out of the LCQ, but I'm going to ride that 227.08 Saab stat a little much and give him a, you know, maybe he's got a 10% chance day two. He hits that warm-up run day one, he does another run day two, and suddenly, you know, maybe he PBs by a couple of minutes, by like 3 minutes, and then suddenly there's a shot. Which a 3-minute PB, given his sob, isn't even that crazy. So you never know. You never know. And then moving on to Paxo, who's kind of like the sore thumb on this page, sticking out with the unknown sob. I don't actually know what Captain Paxo's sob is. I could put his sob from his PB, which is over a year ago, but I don't know if that's accurate or not. And I don't think putting any sob right now would justify what Paxo's level of gameplay is. I don't think his PB even justifies the level of gameplay he's at. If anyone's been watching his streams the past couple of days, or past couple of weeks really, he's been grinding practice segments and, you know, kind of going against goal sub 230 times, and is, you know, on each level he's slowly improving, getting to that goal time, and I mean, it's been really, really impressive, and that's the, you know, there's that as the positive side. The negative side is he's done 0 runs. I think it's really helpful to do runs right before the LCQ. I feel like it's not great to go into the LCQ completely like just in practice, or just completely like obviously out of practice, no practice at all. But it's better to have some practice, no practice. But in doing no runs, I feel like your first run back is always going to be bad no matter how much you practice. And I don't know if Paxo's going to do a run before the LCQ. This is assuming no. That's why I give him a less than 1% chance on day one. I genuinely don't think his first... he might not even PB the first day of the LCQ. Maybe he still will, but once again, even if it's by a couple minutes, it won't be even close to the qualification time. So I'm going to give him a completely low chance on day one, but day two is definitely Paxo's opportunity, in my opinion. He's done that run. He's gotten whatever weird rust of the first run out of the way. He's in practice, right? And he's gotten that run out of the way. Maybe it's even a PB. And then day two is kind of where he can kind of start flourishing a bit more. And that's why I give him almost a 20% chance here, and why I note he's been grinding practice. And I think that Paxo has got a good chance day two. I think everyone else also can agree that, like, you know, Paxo's kind of like that's the word, dark horse here in the LCQ. You know, I feel like he could completely crash out and do not so well because he hasn't done runs recently, or he could completely see through his potential that he's been showing in practice and suddenly make it into the ladder. That's why I kind of put him at the highest percent chance on this page. I think the potential is higher than both Appleman and Nolan. Anyways, I guess moving on to our next group of runners. Oh, I'm making perfect time. It's only 15 minutes in. We're doing great. All right, so these are kind of the on the border runners, is how I put them. They're right on like this is 4, 5, and 6 of, or no, 5, 6, and 7. 5, 6, and 7 of the rankings, the pre-rankings of the LCQ. So this is right at that border of getting in day 2 or not if everything was to go chalk. And I guess something really, really big to note on this page is Zoda, who is the first runner listed, is not playing on day 1. Zoda will only be playing on day 2. So obviously you see the 0% chance of qualifying on day 1. So it's going to be very interesting for Zoda. And I kind of hold it against him in this this prediction of him not playing day 1. I know he's been playing recently, he's been grinding, and he's got a pretty nice looking sob. But I kind of I'm like a little bit low on that just because he's gonna go from not doing a right. He's been doing attempts, right, which I very much like respect. But I feel like it's different when you're in an LCQ no reset race. That's gonna be like right. I don't think anyone else in the community has done a 13-person race before. Great, my dog's gonna get featured in this video. I don't think anyone else has done a 13-person race before, even who's actively in the community, let alone any of these people in the LCQ have done a race this big. There's going to be a lot of pressure, and I feel like there's going to be a lot of nerves the first run. And that's why I feel like day 1 is going to be really shaky for everyone. But Zoda's day 1 is day 2, basically, because he's not running day 1. So I just feel like Zoda's going to have a tough time with the maybe pressure. And maybe Zoda won't like that I'm saying that. But it is like it's kind of tough going from not like this, your first run is everyone else's second in the event. So everyone else has kind of had that warm up run on day 1 and they're feeling, like, oh, I got all the BS out of the way. And now day 2 is your day 1. So but obviously Zoda still has a good sob, a good PB. So I don't want to hold it against him too much. I'm getting like 40%, I think is almost fair. I mean, people could argue a little bit more. But giving Zoda about a 40% chance to qualify going to day 2. Also, remember, you have to factor in some people on day 1 who have, like, significantly better PBs than Zoda, who might be projected just way higher than him, could falter day 1, and then a surprise gets in day 1, and then day 2, Zoda's gonna basically, like, is up against Charizite, then it's, very difficult to qualify. So yeah, you never know what's gonna happen day 1, and then that's why I give Zoda about a 40% chance on day 2. And then we have Y2. It's very, very exciting to talk about because, right, everyone's been talking about he's only done 3 runs. He's only done three runs. And there's a lot of hype around him. And I am sad to admit I am also invested in the hype of Y2. I think there's too much hype that you can't ignore it. Like 3 runs and having a 232 PB is unseen in TCS history. And I know Anonymous touched on this, but it's just like, that's the sort of thing that, it's like, dang, this guy's got really, really good potential. And as you can see, his sob's a 229.48. You can basically ignore that stat because, like, that's going to go down probably another 3 minutes in his next run, the way he's been pacing. I'm going to give, day 1, I only give him a 20%, which, right, that, to qualify day 1, if it's a 228, 229 is kind of that border time. Maybe high 229, maybe even 230. You never know what's going to happen day 1. But he's still going to have to put together a multiple minute PB to qualify day 1. And I fully believe he's capable of it. But, it's another no. It's almost weird. You can't even, like, consider it like a no reset setting's weird because Y2 has barely any resets all time. So almost all 3 of his runs are practically no resets. So it's really hard to gauge. I'm giving about a 20% chance on day 1. He's still going to have to come up with a big PB on a big stage in front of a lot of people. You never know. I'm going to give him about a 20% chance on day 1. But then I'm giving him that boost of day 1, whatever skeletons are still in the closet, you swept them out, and day 2 you're going to have a much better run. And for him, probably a PB. So I'm giving him a significantly higher chance of qualifying day 2. I think it'd be very surprising if Y2 honestly didn't qualify, given his first 3 runs. You never know. It's ladder league. Things are crazy, but I'm giving him a pretty good chance to qualify, I think, from the position he's in. Maybe he even deserves a little bit higher. Maybe I even underjudged his percentage. And then finally, Chess Wiz here as the 3rd competitor in the on the border. Right now, he's technically on the outside looking in as the 7 seed, but I think it's fair to group him within Zoda and Y2 here. He's got a very similar PB. He's been on really good pace, and then obviously his PB is a Bespin panel soft lock, so you have to consider that. And he's got a pretty solid sum of best. He's been recently running. The thing is, he's been on a lot of paces that have been a little bit slower than that PB, a couple minutes slower. I don't really want to hold it against him, but when you see that, it's like, okay, maybe that's something like that could happen in the LCQ where, maybe he's a couple minutes, like 230 behind his PB going into Bespin. He saves the time with the panel soft lock and is right around PB level, which day one, that's going to be really hard to qualify with. Day two, that's going to be right on the border, right? And I feel like Zoda and him might be that like border battle as the last spot in. But obviously, Chess, I think, has the potential of getting significantly better PBs as well. Like, Chess has been away from the game for so long. He has so many missing strategies. His Sob has improved immensely, and it's going to continue improving immensely as he keeps running. So I feel like there's definitely, like, Y2, obviously, there's, like, really high potential, but Chess, there's also, I feel like, is almost, you have to treat him like a new runner because of all the new stuff that he's getting to incorporate. So I almost feel like the potential for Chess is almost as high as Y2's. I'm not going to put him higher just because Y2 is actually new and has only done 3 runs, but Chess, it almost feels like, a new era of Chess and TCS. And, I think there's a lot of potential there. And that's why I think, day one, it's going to be really tough to qualify, right? And then day two, maybe I feel like I a little underrated him with the 45% here. Now that I think about it, I think it's, if I give Zoda 40, I give him 60 is almost, I think it's like a 60-40 between him and Zoda on day two. Mind you, Zoda is doing runs right now, and he's about to get like a 229, and then I'm gonna look real foolish after I do that. And then I'm gonna be like, wow. I look real foolish after I give Zoda a 60-40 against Chess. You never know. And then Chess is gonna come out with a 227, so Alright, on to the favorites of the LCQ. You might notice someone's missing. We have a special page for that person coming up next. But you have Coulson, Mello, and Olive in this next grouping. And all three of them... Oh, yeah, I guess it's something to mention about Mello, bro, is if he does not qualify day one, he's going to have to pre-record for day two. Which, once again, you can take that 1% advantage into account or not, whatever. But he won't be playing live on day two. That really doesn't... anyways, I'm not going to talk about Mello yet. Let's talk about Coulson first and foremost. He's been running, his activity recently has been pretty solid. He's been doing runs on and off. He's got a PB. I saw him mention that, he's, getting pretty consistent 228s and below, which honestly, I believe I've seen some of his runs. He's got that 219.37 Sob, and I think Sob is important. Maybe not, because I feel like, right, you can have a large range between PB and Sob, but then once again, it's really hard. Like, it feels like you're capped at a certain point. Like, going above 10 minutes over Sob seems like not impossible, but like multiple disasters have to happen. And that's why I feel like Coulson's got such a good shot day one. Obviously, there's a lot of other good competition, right? We have Charizard, who we haven't mentioned, Mello, Olive, and then you never know from everyone before. But obviously, one of the 4 of Charizard, Coulson, Mello, Olive has to not qualify day one. So that's why I'm giving him 70%, even though I think he's in a pretty solid position to qualify day one. I think he will. Spoiling a prediction. But yeah, I think Coulson is in a good spot here. And then obviously, if he doesn't make it day one, 95% might be like undercutting it. It might be like 99% day two. Because I think Coulson, if gets a 228 day two or something, which is like, what he's at. If he gets 228 on either day, I think he qualifies. If he has 230s on both days, I think he qualifies. It's going to take 2 really bad runs from Coulson to miss the mark here, which I don't really see coming. And I'm kind of on the same page as Mello, bro. And he's been, I think very active recently. We did episode RTA races against each other. He's done streams recently. And honestly, he's been getting runs that have been near PB that have been like, he's sitting at, if you've watched a Mello stream, he like goes like, I can't even recreate it. My chair is not like, my chair is really shit, so I can't recreate how he's doing it. But he's like leaning back, slumped, like what the heck just happened, like 5 levels of the run, and then he's still right around PB time. And I think he's a lot more consistent than people. I guess I should say it's weird because right, he has a 227, and I want to call him like consistent. My headset just died. All right, we're gonna have to go. Yeah, there's no audio, so I don't need it. Whatever. Here, I'm gonna plug this in. But what I was saying is, I don't think Mello... it's weird calling him, like, consistent. He's consistent at getting good times, but the way he loses time is, like, different every single time. It's kind of crazy. But I think it would be hard to see him getting lower than, like, a 229, unless he absolutely crashes out. Obviously, I think that's the one thing that, like, Mello, I think needs to improve upon is, like, and it can really hurt in tournaments. We haven't seen him in a turn before. Is when you take those big time losses, not getting upset about it, not getting frustrated, and just be like, all right, next level, I gotta, each level is like an IL basically in this tournament. Well, I wouldn't say IL because then you're gonna go for some silly strategy. Each level is like a fresh slate. You're on even pace to PB every level, without doing some stupid strategies. So I would say Mello, like a really bad run for him. Maybe it happens one of the days he has a really bad run, but I think he cleans it up at least one of the days and has a solid PB, maybe even a PB run, close to PB run, and it won't be even a sweat. And that's why I put him at honestly the highest on this page to qualify day one. I think he's in really solidly. I think he's knocking on the door of another big PB. So I think he'll have no problem qualifying. I don't even know why I have 90. Once again, same thing with Coulson. I don't know why I have 95%. I think that's almost like a 99 day two. If Milivro is in day two, he's going to qualify. And then the last on this page is Gamer Olive, and she has a pretty solid PB right in the mix with Coulson and Melivro here with a low 228 and a 222.43 Sob. I think Olive might be the most consistent runner on this page. There's been a couple of streams lately where Olive hasn't had the greatest of runs, but honestly, I think that I just have a feeling that in a no reset setting, she's going to do well. And I have the day one qualification is a little bit lower. I think that ceiling is hard to hit, and I mean, actually, it's tough. If I could redo it, maybe I'd give her also 70% on day one, because I think day one there's going to be like, I think Coulson or Mello has the chance of faulting and missing PB by like 3 or 4 minutes, and I think then Olive could really take a stamp on the race and qualify day one. I think maybe 70% if I had to redo this really quick now, for Olive day one, and then once again 90% day two. I think the only reason I even do that is because maybe, like, the downside is Olive can have a good run day one, not qualify, and then have the disaster run day two, and then somehow not qualify. But still, it's like 90%, maybe even more than that. I think 90% is undercutting her as well. So I think Olive is in a solid position to overall qualify. Day one, though, is going to be very, very interesting. All right, and finally, the Menace and good old Charizard. He's there's a lot to say about him and not a lot to say about him because once again, he hasn't done a run since early March, as of we know. He's disconnected his run.gg, so no one knows what the heck Charizard is up to. He's talking a lot of crap, so it's like, okay, maybe this guy... my opinion is, if you're going to talk a lot of crap, especially to Colton, who has a 220, or 219 now, as this video goes, 219 now, if you're going to talk a lot of crap, then you kind of have to back it up, and clearly just from, like, visually looking at his PB and that he hasn't done a run since March and that who knows about his practice, he says he's practiced a little bit, it's like, what the heck are you doing? I feel like you don't talk that trash unless you're able to back it up. So I feel like Charizard has been playing, maybe secretly doing runs, you never know. That's why when you remove the run.gg, you're just, it just sucks. It sucks for all predictions. Obviously he's got the best sum of best in the entire LCQ. But you know what? What I'm going to completely base this off of is what Charizard said to me in a Twitch chat, was that he has not done a run since March 1st. And you know what? When you haven't done a run since March 1st and you do your first run, no matter how much you've practiced, I feel like your first run's not going to be good. It's a similar situation to Paxo, right? And I think Paxo's probably done a million more hours of practice recently than Charizard. So I feel like day one's going to be shaky for him. I feel like it literally could be a coin toss because, right, his PB's a 226. If he gets 2 or 3 minutes off his PB, that might not be enough straight up. And that's very easy to be 2 or 3 minutes off your PB if you're not in practice. Or if you haven't really done a run recently. I feel like practice, in my opinion, you do runs first and then practice to fine-tune your problems that are in the runs. Then once again, I think it's going to be like the thing where, day one, there's, I don't really think Charizard's going to have necessarily a lot of nerves, but it is day one, he's definitely going to be cocky. He's not going to be able... Charizard, remember, you cannot talk in Twitch chat. This year it's a rule. But I think day one, we could see Charizard PB. We could see Charizard just comfortably get in. Or we can see him have a crazy bad run and then he's on to day two. But once again, I think it's going to be a thing where it's like, if Charizard's in day two, he's going to qualify for sure. But yeah, that's I guess kind of my opinion on Charizard, who could kind of be a complete wild card in this uh LCQ. Day one, I'm very. Oh, I guess I'll say this now. I am commentating day one, which is going to be so exciting. I cannot wait to commentate this. It's like honestly the most exciting thing I've commentated like ever. 13-person race minus Doubt Games and Zoda, so an 11-person race. But it will be very, very, very fun. And honestly, anything could go. I feel it can go any which way. Anyways, prediction time. I'm gonna have to quickly move my face cam for the screen. So you're gonna have to bear with me. I'll move myself over here. He's just gonna cover some stuff. Alright. Oh, you click on this. Alright. Let's talk predictions. I've put all the percentages up just to help myself visually. I haven't even made my picks in my head yet. So it's really, really hard to pick day one. Day one is going to be easier to pick, I think, than day two. I think day two is going to be a little bit more straightforward-ish. I mean, it's hard to pick both days. All right, so day one, couple things to mention. Obviously, no Zoda, no Doubt. And I'm probably not even going to include Apple, Paxo, Chroma, or Staunch in my kind of thoughts of day one or Nolan. While I think they could all get PBs, do well, I don't think any of them were going to be getting like 228s or 229s, which I think it might be that cutoff day one. All right. Looking at chess, I guess I'll start with the lower percentages. Chess, Y2. Or should I think about... I don't know if I want to take this episode at a time or player at a time. Oh yeah, I guess something to mention about Charizard is he's the only one here doing God Fraud, which I feel like if you haven't done a run, like, right, let's just say he doesn't do a run before the LCQ, which, according to him, I'm going off of his word, he hasn't done a run since March 1st. He does God Fraud for the first time in a run in the LCQ. I mean, do you think it's going to go well? Do you think it's going to go well? Which might put him at a couple minute disadvantage. And given that Charizard also has a little bit of a snowballing problem, when one thing goes bad, the other thing goes bad, and then it'll like he could get a 19-1x episode 1 exit in the LCQ and just be completely flying in front of everyone, or he can get a 21-minute episode 1 after a pod race disaster and be in a bad mood and not play well, and then constantly be looking at the stream and realizing he's behind, and then he's gonna freak out and crash out day one. That's why that's why I have him at 50%. I'm gonna go take the road of Charizard has some sort of pod fraud or god fraud disaster. He might not go for it. Maybe he doesn't go for it. But I think Charizard a little too streaky of a player, and I think there's gonna be people ahead of him that are gonna be a lot less streaky that are gonna have a good shot. So I think I'm gonna go with Charizard does not qualify day one, which kind of puts it into the hands of Coulson through Chess minus Zoda on day one. And I think for sure I'm going to put Coulson in. I think he's, super solid runner. I think he does have some snowball moments, but I'm going to take him for his word as well about the consistency. And I've watched a couple of his runs and streams, and he's been pretty solid lately. And I just think, maybe he doesn't have the best run day one, 228 or something. He's going to miss PB by like 2 minutes, but that'll be enough, honestly. I don't know if he's going to win the race. Maybe I should do order of race. What I think is going to happen, who I think is going to win the race, is going to be Mello on day one. I think Mello has been doing enough no reset settings, episode RTAs lately that I've seen from him, that I think day one, he's just going to put something near PB. Like, maybe even PB day one. And I think it'll be a pretty, I think it'll be like a 1 minute win for Mello in the LCQ. So I think Mello's going to win day one. I don't know if Coulson to get second or third, but I think he gets second. He makes it in. And then that leaves third place, which I want to give to Olive right now. I think that's the easiest pick. But then Y2 and Chess are pretty wild card. They could definitely, Olive has a bad run, 2 or 3 minutes off PB. Y2, which 2 or 3 minutes off PB isn't that crazy to say. It's a bad run, but it's not crazy. But yeah, Y2 and Chess could definitely PB and beat that. I'm gonna give the edge to Olive just because it's definitely a new setting for Y2. Chess hasn't done a tournament in a long time. It's a no reset crazy setting. So I'm gonna say even if Olive has that bad run that goes a couple minutes behind her PB, Y2 and Chess will not be able to, PB by multiple minutes to beat it. So I'm going to go day one, Mello, Coulson, Olive. I guess I'll say Coulson second. Mello wins the race. Coulson second. Olive third. Charizard maybe scares third place or something after. I think he'll have a disastrous start or something. and then he'll start creeping back in the race, and he'll slowly keep catching up, but it won't be enough. That's what I think. And then I think you see, whatever, the rest of the day, the order doesn't really matter. I think they might even cut it off after third place, or maybe like fourth place, just to make sure that, LRT isn't too different. Anyways, that's my day one. I'm going Coulson, Mellow Coulson, Olive. Then day two, I'm just going to put it straight out there. Charizard's going to win day two. If Charizard's in day two, he's just going to win it. He's going to fix everything that he did wrong not everything, but most of what he did wrong day one. He's finally got that first run since March 1st under his belt, which once again, going for his word. I'm going to go Charizard wins day two pretty clearly. Like, it's a sweep day two. Then you have, okay. Then you have to start talking about, since second place can go anywhere, I'm just going to say second place, and then we're going to talk third place, because third place I think goes wild. Second place and third place might be close, and all the other people who don't qualify might all be close, but I'm going to say Y2 gets second place. I think day one, he's going to have a good run. Maybe not qualify, maybe even PB day one. But then day two, he's going to really come into his own, his fifth run, and if he keeps trending on the way he's been going, I think day two will be like a solidified second place in the race behind Charizard in qualification. Which then kind of leaves a crazy battle for third between mainly Chess and Zoda, but then you have to start thinking about some of the wild cards. I'm sorry, once again, Staunch, Chroma, and Doubt. I would really like to include you guys in this, but I just don't see a path unless something absolutely like wild happens, right? Where, right, Zoda, Chess, and then Nolan, Apple packs all bad runs, and you guys have a phenomenal run. So it's really, really hard to see one of you guys, Doubt, Chroma, Staunch, sneak into the qualification day too. But some of the wild cards here, Nolan, Apple pack. So, like I said before about Nolan, I think it's going to take a, pretty phenomenal run from him. It's going to take like a multiple minute PB. And I think of the three Nolan, Apple, Paxo, I think he's the least likely to do it, simply because I think Nolan's more of like a consistent, like, he improves at the game at the same pace as his PB, right? I think, and that's, like, I think that's pretty straightforward with how his PB has been consistently going up. And I feel like there's not that, like, spike potential of a crazy PB, which he might need here on day two. I have a feeling Nolan's going to need kind of, like, one of those spike PBs here. And I don't think Nolan necessarily operates like that. I think he's a very steady climber, and it just, like, continuously playing, he'll just continuously get better. And I think, like, Nolan just needs a little bit more time. Like, if Nolan had, I mean, hey, maybe if Nolan plays tomorrow, and then LCQ1, then I think his chance of qualifying LCQ2 goes up to, like, 25-30%, maybe. More than Apple and Paxo. But at the moment, I can't, like, he's just a steady performer, and I think he needs a spike PB, especially day 3 when, or day 2, when we're just going to go based off my day 1 picks, where Charizard's going to definitely finish ahead of him. Y2 is going to be very hard to beat for Nolan. And then you're going to have to have Zoda or Chess. Both of them kind of have bad runs. And then other people with good potential like Apple and Paxo also kind of dud. So I feel like there's a lot that needs to go Nolan's way for him to qualify day 2. So I'm going to go with a no on Nolan qualifying. Then you have Apple and Paxo. And Apple, once again, I'm riding that 227 Sob. But once again, he hasn't really shown, like, it's a 10-minute Sob difference between PB. And I think day 1 will help. But he hasn't really showed it yet. And I don't really want to take the risk of saying that he qualifies, considering he hasn't really shown us that, like, big PB yet. Or, obviously the signs are there to get a big PB, but in a no reset race, I'm not so convinced. So I'm going to say no on Apple as well. Although, right, 227 Sob, if he gets like a 231, which is totally capable, potentially, like a spike PB, which I think is a little bit more capable than Nolan for a spike PB, maybe that gets him in, And then we have Paxo, once again, just the complete dark horse of day 2, where I just don't know where he's going to be at. Because he's, like, right, he's shown us he's sub 230 level capable through all his practice, but once again hasn't done a run. It's like, you could definitely see Paxo, like, getting a 236, 237, whatever, day 1. But then day 2, he's like, alright, now I've done a run, and now I PB by 3 minutes. It's so possible. It's very hard to pick this. I'm going to put Paxo on hold for now. I'm not going to say no. I'm going to talk about Zoda and Chess first. Which I think if this, like, right, it's a 40-60-40 chess with a slight advantage over Zoda because he's done that race day one and Zoda hasn't, and their sobs are very similar. I think chess is actually a little bit better, like 50 some seconds currently, but Zoda's doing runs, so this will probably improve. So I'm gonna go. It's so tough. It is so tough. I think chess has to play really well. Oh my. And Paxo's still there, dude. Dude, this is so hard to pick. I don't know if you guys are thinking the same thing as me, but like choosing like let's just play the scenario where Charizard Y2 of Qual day two, and then obviously day one's Coolest and Mellow Olive, and you got to pick between Zoda, Chess, and Paxo here on day two. It's so tough because you know Paxo is going to be like significantly improving, but once again, it's not like Chess, who is going to be playing day one, probably will improve as well. Zoda is playing now. He's not playing day one, but he's playing now, so he's probably gonna freaking improve his PB too. It's so hard to. Sorry, I'm sorry. This is like a lull in the video because I genuinely cannot predict this. Can't. I'm just gonna go with who I think is best at the late game. Who's gonna be best at the late game when it comes down to it? Who's not gonna choke CCT and best spin? It's gonna be a close race. Who's gonna have the best CCC best spin? Maybe whatever late game. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go with chess. I'm gonna go with chess as the final spot in. It's so tough picking against Zoda too, knowing that like I've seen his streams and seen that he's got big PB potential, but I just think that not playing day one's gonna really let him down. I feel like not playing day one is gonna kind of put him in a situation where maybe he needs to come back after a bad early game, because maybe there's obviously like when I do races, there's always nerves in episode one, like it's like holy crap, it's a big race. There's always a bit of nerves in episode one, and then they wear off and you're into it. But I think Zoda's gonna have to come back from a deficit. Chess honestly isn't that good at the early game at the moment. I think he's more of a later game runner. And Paxo obviously just I don't know. He's not done a run yet. It's so hard to tell. Um, I'm gonna just there's the uncertainty of Paxo kind of leans me against it because like who knows, maybe Paxo just has two bad runs and then that's it and there's no shot. And chess seems like the most certain to if there's a late game, I think he's going to come out clutch in the late game at the moment of those three. So I'm gonna go day two, Charizite, Y2, chess, and we have our bracket completed. All right. It is 42 minutes into this video. Holy. All right. Now I'm going to pull up the SRC leaderboard on my phone real quick just to give you some quick updates. I can probably give them off the top of my head, but the problem is I will not get the times right. Oh gosh. Okay, Lego Star Wars. All right. Anyways, yeah. I guess some leaderboard updates that aren't like he's right. Zoda's running. I'm sure other people are in the LCQ are gonna run in the next day or two in PB. So woohoo! Oh, also by the way, the LCQ is May 9th, May 10th at 12. Oh, shit, is it 12 Eastern or 12 Central? 1 o'clock Eastern. 1 o'clock Eastern. This Saturday and Sunday. If you want to tune in and watch. It's going to be amazing, super exciting. I'll be there commentating day one. If you just want to hear me yap. All right, here's my leaderboard updates. All right, I know Zach got record. Zach got a 1 second record since my last video. Okay, shout out Zach, congratulations. Bricko improved to a 2:17.42, which he was at a 2:18.10 prior, so that jumps him over Anorak and Frost. So obviously another Bricko improvement for the tournament's big. Justin is back playing again. Justin, who was kind of the question mark of like how is he gonna do because he's obviously a top runner and just like he hasn't been playing, but now he's playing, back playing. There obviously hasn't done runs yet, but he's playing again. Just like to give that update. Colton, the big like news. I don't think there's any other EJ. Before I mention Colton, EJP Man had a big PB right before the ladder started to jump him from rung 5, which would have been all the way to rung 3, to a 2:22.16. So huge shout outs to EJP Man for that big PB. Was there anything else that I needed to miss before? Okay. Charizard. Colton. not Colton's archenemy. Colton, out of the blue, I mean, he's rung 4, like officially in rung 4, going to be in rung 4. Gets a 220-33, jumping basically, that would have put him in rung 3. Or he's in rung 5, sorry. He would have gone from rung 5. Wait, no, is he in rung 4? Chat, this is bad. No, he's in rung 5. He's in rung 5. Colton would have jumped from rung 5 to rung 3. And obviously, like, and then he gets a 219.58. This obviously has implications beyond, like, I guess your starting run, but, like, now you have to think Colton could significantly be a top 8 contender. I don't think he wasn't a top 8 contender before. I just think he was very grouped in with the kind of Daime, Laser, Wazip, I'm forgetting people, EJP Man, Phantom, kind of that range or Quasar, where it's like, you know, he's going to be fighting for the top 8, but it's very unlikely, right? It's like one person's going to have to sneak in over Wii Super, a Xenor, an Anorak, a Bricko, you know, it's going to take something like a lot. And he was kind of in that group of maybe he'll sneak in, probably not. But now with the 219 PB, you know, obviously the potential's there to do something crazy. And, like, straight up, if Colton raced, you know, in a wildcard race, me or Justin, like, it's a full-on race. Like, that's a 60-40 race, maybe. So I think, like, Colton clearly makes himself like, the 9th, stamps himself as number 9 right now, which... yeah, I don't think it's going to change before the tournament. Like, unless Colton puts together, like, a low 218, I'm going to keep him at number 9 for now, because obviously Justin's still derusting, and I think that, like, Colton probably won't translate PB into tournament immediately, but I think clearly he's the number 9 right now, which he's, like, the most likely to get in the top 8 as an outsider. Anyways, that's predictions for later. Actually, you'll see me next if you're doing Ladder League predictions, which I highly recommend doing, in a Ladder League predictions explanation video, and that's going to drop 3 days from now, and the predictions will drop too. Highly recommend doing that, and I'll kind of explain it in that video, and then either on the 10th or 11th will be my week 1 predictions, which is going to be super, super hype. I'll lay out the schedule for week 1. I'll do the predictions. We got power rankings coming up. I could have maybe done power rankings today, but I wanted to wait for the first ladder. I don't want to power ranking a bunch of the LCQ question marks right now. I'm going to wait till the ladder starts. Power rankings, videos coming soon. I hope you guys enjoyed this very extended episode of a 47 minutes of yapping from me. And shout out to T-Fresh, looking cool, and Evan eating that chicken finger. Alright, guys. See you in a few days. And see you at the LCQ, hopefully.